Despite being a highly awaited release, DC's Suicide Squad failed to meet expectations that had been set by the comics, but what DC couldn't achieve, Studio Bones and Netflix were able to, with their anime adaptation of Mark Millar and Leinil Yu's Super Crooks. In today's video, we're going to dig deeper into the differences between the two, along with covering the best Suicide Squad comic, which isn't even published by DC. First off, Super Crooks is a failed villain's redemption story. The anime chronicles the adventures of Johnny Bolts, the supervillain who, after seriously hurting numerous people during his superhero debut, decided that a life of crime was more suited to his skill set. He's followed by bad luck throughout his career. Each time all his dreams are just within reach, some superhero comes along and derails his elaborate heists. After serving time for his most recent botched heist, his supervillain girlfriend, Kasey, decides she's had enough of crime and wants to settle down. She gives him an ultimatum. Either he gives up crime immediately or pulls off the mega heist he's been dreaming of so he could stop being a criminal. Fed up with his continuous visits to jail and being scared of losing Kasey, Johnny decides to finally go through with one last mission. He joins forces with some other mid-level supervillains to take down the infamous Bastard, the universally agreed upon bad boy. Next up, there's one key difference between the two. The story is similar to that of DC's Suicide Squad in multiple ways, but there's one key difference that sets them apart: the intentions of the supervillains. This difference makes the Super Crooks much more likable than the Suicide Squad, and also makes them the superpowered anti-hero qualities that DC probably wanted their brand of villains to have. When it comes to the motley crew of DC Universe, their intentions are built on their need to escape from prison and to get their ticket out. They'll do anything, even if it's a Black Ops mission for the government that's too beneath the superheroes. Not only were these jobs extremely dangerous, but all the power also rests with the government as well. Besides these jobs being extremely dangerous, the government holds all the leverage, and then these missions don't even give them a good character arc, and instead, the supervillains end up becoming even more evil than they'd been at the start. In conversation with Screen Rant, Mark Millar talked about the ideation behind the Crooks, amongst other things. His objective was to create something that focused on the villains, and instead of making them out to be some hero criminals, he just wanted them to be plain bad guys who steal to make money. In his opinion, nothing like that existed, and a fresh approach to the supervillain genre was exciting for him. Following up, Super Crooks asks a very important question. When it comes to Johnny and the other members of the Super Crooks, they have to do their job to avoid jail. Their motivation for working on the mission goes beyond simply shaving months off a sentence. The job will literally change their lives either way. In Johnny's case, failure will likely turn him into a supervillain for the rest of his life, along with taking away the love of his life. Besides, unlike some threats that the Suicide Squad has targeted, if the Super Crooks are successful in eliminating the Bastard, one of the most heinous criminals around, there'll be an undeniable positive impact on the community, the country, and even the entire world. The Suicide Squad has so little skin in the game that it becomes difficult for the creative team to concentrate on anything but stories for situations with lots of action and stereotypical supervillain themes. There isn't much room left to show off redeeming values for the members and carrying out the missions. On the other hand, the Super Crooks are bad people who've committed crimes of their own violation in order to save themselves from committing those crimes again. It is unlikely that any of the members of the Suicide Squad will experience a potential change of heart. As a result, Super Crooks are undoubtedly the anti-hero group DC wishes it had. Moving on, the best Super Squad comic out there isn't made by DC. Michel Fiffe's amazing superhero opus, Copra, is currently the best Suicide Squad comic. As a solo project, Copra is free to embrace the anything-goes philosophy of DIY indie comics that's largely absent from the constraints of corporate-owned IP. Fiffe is free to make his comics as bizarre, daring, and unique as he wants. Suicide Squad was initially started by DC back in the 1960s, but the version that's most associated with the name today is the one from the 1980s. At that time, the group was transformed into imprisoned supervillains similar to the Dirty Dozen. They were each given the chance to reduce the length of their prison terms by taking part in dangerous missions for the American government. The writings of John Ostrander and Kim Yale, along with Luke McDonald's art, made a comic a monthly dose of espionage intrigue, character-driven storytelling, and superhero action, genres whose politics and pathos continue to influence comic book creators today. Fiffe's undoubtedly paying homage to that iconic Suicide Squad run by telling the tale of a group of supervillains and other outcasts with superpowers working for a Black Ops task force. However, despite the fact that many of these characters are heavily inspired by their DC counterparts, his writing never never reads like simple fanfiction. Instead, the creator has given the work a distinct personal touch that filters superhero smash-ups through the lens of self-made independent comics. What's more, Fiffe's creation is a superhero revenge machine. The world of Copra is introduced in the first 6 issues and can be collected in trade form as Copra Round 1. The plot begins with members of the Copra program being dispatched to a small Latin American town to look into a supernatural occurrence, immediately letting us know that this is more than just a reverse Suicide Squad. That's when we meet team members Guffy, a weapons master with a shady past, Veer, a teen with superpowered armor, and Gracie, an ex-model turned martial arts expert. Not too far into their mission, the Copra team is attacked by a rival band of super strong mercenaries, which ultimately leads to the destruction of the Latin American town. The attack is soon revealed to be a setup, as the team is blamed for the disastrous events. After that, they have no option but to run, as a bounty is placed on their heads. Their director takes them underground and attempts to clear their names while trying to get revenge on whoever set them up. Not to mention, the well-developed characters don't adhere to any archetypes. Throughout the course of the comic, Fiffe takes the team on a wild ride while drawing on multiple sources to populate the fantastical universe with alternate dimensions, unearthly gods, and back-alley superheroes. Stone takes the team to her old co-worker Vincent, an occultist who's almost too similar to a certain sorcerer supreme. The team also takes refuge at the home of a special agent named Francis Castillo, who served as Copra's trainer before quitting after his family was murdered in a mob shootout. That sounds kind of familiar. There, Copra meets Castillo's roommates and colleagues, ARM, a group of cyborg bounty hunters obviously modeled after the Reavers from the X-Men. With the gradual emergence of godlike creatures known as the Okizan, Fiffe's heartfelt homage to the new gods of Jack Kirby's Fourth World plays out in the background through all this. The creator writes his characters in a way that rises them above simple archetypes to become unique in their own right. He does take inspiration from the likes of Doctor Strange, the Punisher, and the New Gods, but he handpicks their characteristics in a way that doesn't seem like a complete copy. By putting together all the separate factors of superhero comicdom, Fiffe draws upon the genuine strength of these original characters and ideas and further breaks them down to their core elements in order to remake them into something new. Finally, Copra's speciality lies in the singular vision that it's made of. Michel Fiffe creates every issue completely on his own, without any editorial oversight hindering his process. Copra is solely the work of one mind and has no other filter than the hands that bring those ideas to life on the page. This is crucial to understanding what makes it so appealing. Since its release in 2012, Copra has been a mainstay of the independent comic scene. It's one of the longest-running independently published comic book series currently available, having released 43 issues to date. After a brief stint at Image Comics, Fiffe is now again responsible for the issue's self-publication, though Image still manages to trade paperback collections. This is what makes Copra a truly unique breed of sequential art that originated from one creative mind. Fiffe's created a unique and compelling fusion of the worlds of independent autobio comics and superheroic soap operas. It's daring, dark, and provocative, which gives it more personality than just being a carbon copy of DC's Suicide Squad. And that's all for this video, guys. What was lacking from Suicide Squad in your opinion? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.